Hello and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming, coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world. This is the Established Facts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 115 of the Established Facts. We have some really fun things that we're doing in this episode, different than any other episode you've probably ever heard us do. Kind of similar to the Masters of the Universe episode that we did after BillCon last summer with our buddy Lance. So let's go ahead and go around the table and introduce everybody who is here. We'll go ahead and start to my right.
This is Josh.
This is Dr. Deb.
This is Prime.
Hey, Tony Schaub, guest star, hanging out with you.
And this is, of course, your host, Big Don. So, as you heard, we have a new friend with us. Tony, let us in on a little bit of why someone would know who you are.
Well, if you're my mom, you know who I am.
That's good.
That about wraps up the
That's
list.
about it. All right.
No, I am similar to you guys, a fellow podcaster, host a podcast of my own called FACTish. In addition, I've got a couple books out there on Amazon, especially any zombie fans might be interested to check out the books, The Gore Score, and the accompanying website at thegorescore.com. And lastly, you may have seen me out at the different conventions, especially if you're here in the Indianapolis area. I'm one of the geeky MCs for a lot of the panels and things like that. So just kind of one of those guys that maybe you've heard me, probably not, but if you have, here we are.
That's right. And we actually met, Josh and I met you and your lovely wife, Emily, it was last year at
PopCon 2014.
Yeah. And got a chance to chat for a little bit and hang out. Of course, we're right. Yeah, we're in 2016 now. Yeah, it's all right. Sorry. It's okay.
The future is
it's
now.
Okay. That's right. And we had a lot of fun kind of chatting. But of course, we were all running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So that was a good time. But
I notice it seems like a pattern. Every time I hear about PopCon, it's usually not, oh, I had a great time. It was, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted.
It
really is exhausting.
Don't get
Poor
me
chickens.
wrong. Yes. Indie PopCon is by far becoming one of my favorite conventions of the year. But if you
Don't make Gen Con cry.
Well, no, that ain't going to happen.
Okay. Right.
But
Continue.
if you are somebody who is doing something for the con, it is crazy. Like, you don't stop from the time that you walk in on Thursday evening to get things set up for you until you leave limping out of the convention center, dragging boxes behind you to load into your truck and then pass out in the parking lot before you go home. But it is exhilarating. It's fun. It's exciting. This year is starting to become a pretty strong year. I saw they just got Ty from
Michael Hogan.
Oh my gosh,
Colonel Ty.
Oh, Colonel Ty, and Tara Strong.
From Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. Oh wow. Wow, that was a look you just got, Josh.
Not in a white shirt.
That's right. And then I'm trying to remember. They've got Nolan North and a bunch of people. Check out the PopCon. You know, if we're going to do plugs, we might as well do plugs right now. Check out the Indie PopCon Facebook page. www.indiepopcon.com is also their website. Indiana Comic Con is coming up as well in a few months. They've got a killer show coming with a bunch of Star Wars guys, Ray Park and Ian McDermott, and they've got Leah Thompson and a bunch of really cool, Jessica Negri, if you're into cosplay and stuff like that. Tons of comic book artists. So definitely check those out. That's IndianaComicCon.com.
Now, Tony, didn't you just get a new title with PopCon?
Yeah, I was just very recently elected to their board of advisors, so I'm glad we're pimping them. So
that's right.
Yeah,
I'm everybody.
The assistant director of PR and marketing now for the show. So
see, you're helping him out already. Don't
right?
Look at that.
If you need an assistant, I'm there for you, bro. I'm there.
Well, and as we've already said on our podcast earlier, they're allowing us to sponsor the live podcast stage.
That's
right.
So we're super excited about that. And as a result, we have also added them onto our front tagline. We are home of Indie PopCon and Gen Con. So
perfect. There you go.
And any of you who are interested in going to Indie PopCon, if there's any question about whether you want to go or not, I'm letting you know that right now
the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. We've been gifted through being the host podcast for the live stage, a really awesome exhibitor booth. We've had a booth there for the last 2 years running, and this year will be no exception.
It has grown every year.
It has grown every year. Well,
that's a good sign.
The first year was a little weird because we had a table in the artist alley, and then like the first day, the artist on our right hand side didn't show up, so we kind of spread that way, and then after the second day, on the third day, the artist to our left wasn't there, so literally we became like this huge living amoeba of podcast.
You're like the virus.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The zombie virus of PopCon.
If you will. Just started taking over people's tables.
We did.
Before you know it, Sylvester McCoy's gone. That's
right. Autographs. I don't know.
That's right. Who are these guys? Who cares?
Were you a doctor?
Well,
in my imagination, I was.
It's funny you ask. We have a doctor on staff. The only podcast that has a doctor on staff. There you go.
I think that's very true.
Except for the other ones that
except for any other that might have.
Except for medically related podcasts. Blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
Insert disclaimer here.
That's right. That's right. So we have an exhibitor booth this year. We're going to do some things like we did last year. We're going to have a game exchange table. We're going to do it a little bit different, but we're still working out the details on that. And then we also are already building our pot of stuff to give away in our raffle for this year. Last year, if you didn't get a chance to come to Indie PopCon and come by our booth, I'm pretty sure Clinton Johnson, I think that's the right last name.
Yes.
Okay. He walked away with probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $550 worth of stuff at the end of the weekend. And it started out with a really awesome pot of about $250 worth of games and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then literally throughout the weekend, every time we did an interview with somebody, they threw something in. And we had Edward James Olmos and Sam Jones and John Delancey and a bunch of other people.
The Doctor Who crew.
We had Who North America gave us something, but they all gave us like autographed pictures and things like that. John Delancey signed an autographed vinyl pop of his Discord from from My Little Pony. So yeah, he walked away with so much stuff. It was ridiculous.
And a badge to this year's PopCon.
And a badge to this year's PopCon, which we already have confirmed through a friend of ours, through PopCon, that we are going to be at least giving away one of those for next year.
Not the same one the other guy just won.
No. It won't be a retro badge.
You can go to last year's con. Congratulations.
Clinton's going to show up and be like, "Thank you."
That's right. And we already have a little bit of game support from a buddy of ours, and we're working on some other stuff that's coming up. So definitely, if there are no other reasons for you to come to PopCon, at least come and see us, come and see Tony, and definitely come by our booth and check out the raffle stuff and see if you can get into the raffle. So anyway. Without further ado, this episode is going to be way different than what we've ever done. We're actually going to play Apples to Apples on episode 115, and this is actually going to be a two-parter episode. We're kind of sharing some time with Pop Cultish, which is really fun. We're going to do what is called affectionately the Pop FACTish Part 1, and then we're going to give Tony whatever leniency we need to name his Part 2 for his episode. But we're just going to have some fun and see what happens with this game of Apples to Apples. So, as the host, if you have never played Apples to Apples, let me explain very quickly. you have 2 sets of cards. You have green-backed cards and red-backed cards. Each player starts with a hand of 7 red-backed cards, which will have specific names or figures or themes, mostly nouns, proper nouns, things like that. And then on the green cards, you will have one person in, because we live in the northern hemisphere, clockwise.
Clockwise.
Is that the word? Yes,
yes.
thank you.
12 to 12.
12 to 12, clockwise. Dirty. In clockwise fashion, you'll go around the table, and one person will pull a green card, which will have an adjective on it that will describe something specific, and then you'll look through your hand as the player, placing a face-down red card in front of the judge, who's the one who pulled the green card, and then after everyone has thrown in a card, the judge will look through the cards and essentially choose which one they feel like best fits their criteria of what fits into that green card.
And it all depends on the judge. It could be the funniest,
right.
It could be the most realistic, it could be the stupidest,
That's
it could
right.
be it. And so you need to know your judge to know which card to pull.
Exactly.
Because you want your card pulled, because then you get a point.
Normally you would play to a score. We're just going to play for a little while and see what happens. We're going to allow some of the green and red cards to kind of steer our conversation as we play. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. If you don't, it's totally okay. But don't leave. Just hang out with us for a little while and enjoy the fun. So our first green card, and I am the first judge. Our first green card is the word plucky. And there are synonyms on the green card. So for those of you who are having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what plucky means, adventurous, spirited, and spunky. And it's funny, I just started watching, if any of you are interested in kind of creepy thriller TV shows,
Go on.
American Horror Story.
Oh, yeah.
I had not seen any of it. Started watching it on Netflix, and so when I pulled this card, Plucky, it reminded me of a line that in season 2, Lana, I think is what they call her. She's talking to Zachary Quinto's character, who is
Spock.
Is a doctor. Essentially, he's a psychiatrist, and
not the doctor.
Correct.
A doctor. That's
No,
right.
but he would be a good doctor if he were not American.
Yeah, he's kind of not English.
What's
enough.
wrong with an American?
That's another discussion.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Maybe it's a Gallifreyan thing.
so she happens to make she happens to he calls her Plucky earlier in the season, and then she happens to retort that back at him with a lot of attitude and some expletives, which is kind of funny. So when I pulled that card, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, all right, so Plucky, we've got 4 cards here, and they are wearing a cast.
I guess that shows you've been on some adventures, I suppose.
Yeah. Right? You had to have done something to need the cast.
All right. E.T.
E.T.'s
as in the
Plucky.
extraterrestrial.
Okay.
Not the TV show.
What?
Pee Wee Herman.
He has a big adventure.
That's a very good point. And stampeding cattle.
That's an adventure.
Whether you're in front of him or behind him.
It's true either way.
They're quite spirited.
What a great way to start.
Tough call, yeah.
Man.
Stampeding cattle.
I
Pee Wee
think I'm
Herman,
going to go.
E.T..
These are all really good in my opinion, but I think I'm going to go with stampeding cattle because it takes a certain kind of pluckiness to be that guy. So, who had stampeding cattle? All right, that's Prime.
Your brother.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
brother.
Of course I had stampeding cattle.
Of course you did.
That's funny. The other thing I
and-
thought of when you said Plucky was, because I watched it recently with the passing of Alan Rickman, was Galaxy Quest, where they tell Guy that he's the plucky comic relief. And
That's right.
Plucky.
You know what? That allows. If we're going to go with adventuring, I think I have our first little conversational topic. Favorite adventuring movie.
Favorite adventuring movie. So a movie that's like you have a group of people and they go on an adventure.
Sure, if you
Okay.
consider it such, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I know it's a
Goonies.
good one.
Goonies. That's my pick.
That's a classic one. That
Yeah.
was going to be first one that popped in my head, closely followed by a movie that not many people remember, but I don't know why, because when I say it, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, that Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow."
I have not seen.
Oh man, that is a
it good?
great film. Came out at kind of right at the dawn of the CGI thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything was done against a green screen, but with a reason. It was one of those like retro style where like if they're flying a airplane. It's flying over like a map instead of just the ocean's flying over like an old school map of the
Indiana
world.
Jones style.
Yeah, and it's a great cast: Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi, Jude Law. It's just good old fashioned fun. It used it used CGI also to bring back Sir Laurence Olivier as the bad guy, even though he'd been dead for years.
Yeah, I was going to say he died years ago.
I mean, a really cool movie. I highly recommend. A very cool adventure film. I definitely check it out if you haven't seen it.
I would have to. Like now the pressure's on me because I can't really think of anything. But I think it's not really my favorite, but it's definitely it's one that I liked. Was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah. That's a good one.
I mean, so
okay. Well, I mean, I'm gonna pick it because it's. I mean. Okay, so you're all going to groan because it's so painfully obvious that it's like, in shout in...
I was probably going to say it. So
I was going to say, if you're going to say The Lord of the Rings, because that is an adventure, that's the whole point, is we're going to go off
I was going to say The Hobbit.
Okay, well,
you
fair enough.
Said Tolkien, but
Well, that's true. I'm just going to pick J.R.R. Tolkien, anything he wrote. But as everyone out there probably knows, I adore Lord of the Rings, the book and the movie. I like them each for different reasons. Don't tell my brother I said that. He might kill me.
He listens.
He does, but then he also talks back at us.
Isn't he upstairs?
No, that's the other one.
Chris.
The other one's still
She's
at
talking
home.
about Chris.
Yeah, John, man.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you
the
were talking about.
controversial one.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh?
Gotcha. I'm actually going to say Finding Nemo. Well, I've heard a lot of good ones so far.
Yeah.
It is. Lord of the Rings was actually going to be one I mentioned as well. I was with you, honey. It's okay. But I'm sitting here going, Finding Nemo, because Finding Nemo, as sad as some of it may have been, it was such a cute movie.
You're right. It's a crazy adventure. So good, they're going to do it again here this year. Finding Dory.
It's about time they got a sequel.
All right.
Good adventure stuff here. All right. I've got Forgettable. Forgettable, also a.k.a. boring, nondescript, unremarkable. Not this episode.
That's my cue to leave. All right. I'm anything
Forgettable.
but
Yay for throwaways.
Nat King Cole, go home.
Forgettable.
That'd have been a whole different story if it was forgettable.
If it was forgettable, it wouldn't have been Nat King Cole then.
That's right.
Because
it'd been like Bieber or something.
Exactly.
Forgettable girl. What?
Who was that?
Exactly.
That's right. That's our first star impersonation.
I just went to see yesterday. I saw Zoolander 2.
Yeah.
And that was the high point is when Justin Bieber gets killed in the opening.
All right.
I would watch it, and then I would watch that scene and go home.
I don't have any problem.
I'm at my money's worth. No.
I don't have any problem admitting that I want to see Zoolander 2, but I'm not going to go to the theater to see it.
I'm not a huge Ben Stiller fan. I've never really been a huge Ben Stiller fan.
I'm a Will Ferrell fan. And I thought he was hilarious.
You'll get your money's worth in Zoolander 2, though. Because Mugatu is back with a vengeance.
Of course.
I mean, the whole gang is back. There are cameos out the yin-yang. I mean, so many people in this movie playing themselves, playing other people. I mean, if you like the first Zoolander, you'll probably be entertained by this movie.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the first one, this isn't your cup of tea. So,
don't go to see it.
Pretty much wraps it up there. So. All right, let's see what we got for Forgettable. All right, the first Forgettable is Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Or as some people might term, I'd like to forgettable.
Oh, yeah, that's actually clarified.
Losing my keys.
Let's forget you did that. It's embarrassing.
You ever wonder if
or just, yeah.
Inherently forgettable. Mm-hmm. Getting a tattoo.
Oh.
I guess forgettable maybe if you get it on your back and you don't see it much.
Or how you got the tattoo.
Yeah, maybe that's
also, that's
the story
true.
behind getting a tattoo.
It's like Hangover.
And last but certainly not least, your ex. Forgettable, or some people might think I wish I could forgettable.
I don't know why, but I just looked at those cards and I literally went, Dick Cheney lost my keys while getting a tattoo with my ex.
You can create a story. I
don't know
with the
why.
cards.
I just
said that's the improv in you. And
that's right.
Go with the scene.
Make this scene happen.
Dick, where are my keys?
These are all good ones. Nothing personifies forgettable more than something that I do routinely. I need to put a little chip on it. Losing my keys. Because I did lose the
that's
keys.
another one for me.
You're cleaning up.
All right. It's a good thing we're not playing to a certain number.
Yeah, exactly.
Halfway
Are we in
over
trouble?
already,
So the losing your keys made me think of, I'm finally reading the Harry Potter books. And yes, I heard the collective groan for every single person
I've never
out
read
there.
them. You're okay. I've never read them.
Okay.
I've never read them.
My sister-in-law just was like, you got to read them. Okay. So I've actually started reading them. I'm in the second one. I'm now to the Chamber of Secrets. And in this one, I am cracking up because Ron Weasley's dad, who works for the Ministry of Magic, Arthur, exactly. His job, he works in the area that is involved with Muggle affairs. Well, what it is specifically, and I don't know if they show this in the movie, he is involved with when wizards put magic onto regular, ordinary objects that Muggles could get back, and then Muggles don't know what to do with them because they're doing weird things. And they're like, what is going on? And of course, Muggles aren't magical. They don't understand this. So, and then Harry's asking Ron, well, what exactly does that mean? He's like, oh, one of the biggest ones is when a wizard will cast a spell on keys to make them invisible. And then they get back to a Muggle hand, and people keep wondering why they lose their keys because the spell keeps going off.
I love it.
And then he's like, that explains a lot, or something like that.
They don't go into that much detail in the movie, but that's cool.
I'm cracking up. So I'm like, that explains that my keys have been enchanted by a wizard somewhere. Yeah. There's your explanation.
There you go.
It's funny that you brought that up because I literally just started watching the series again. So
Okay, I also haven't watched the series entirely. I'm getting there.
Right.
I'm done. I just got done with Order of the Phoenix, and it's getting dark.
That is my favorite.
Well,
it's getting dark.
Starts to get.
I haven't read the books either, but I made my wife promise that when she gets done with Order of the Phoenix, if she has not continued watching the movies, to stop reading. Because too many people I have talked to have said that if they read the books first, the movies were actually ruined for them. And I'm like, these movies are good. Finish, especially the back end of them. Finish the movies out before you finish the books. It's okay because your mind won't be so bad about it if you read the book afterwards, because of course there's stuff missing.
Sure,
but more in the book.
Yeah, there's always.
I don't want to. I hate it when a movie loses its credibility because the book and movie are never going to be the same. That's a whole other discussion. Right. But it's a movie. Those movies were really good. Finish the movies and then finish the books.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going through my first watching of the movies right now. I've never seen the movies, never read the books. That's something that actually Emily and I are doing for Pop Cultish. Is we're doing because she grew up reading the books, loved the movies, have seen them hundreds of times. So we're doing the perspective of a diehard fan versus the perspective of a new fan.
Oh, cool.
We're doing that.
Okay, that is cool.
On our end, well, we're doing it twice. We're doing it once for Harry Potter because I'm the newbie and she's the experienced person.
Right.
And then I needed something that I was experienced on that she had never done. So we're doing that with the Resident Evil movies because she's never seen one, and I love zombies.
Yeah.
So we're kind of talking about how our experiences differ, and I want to read the books eventually,
cool
but I have to get to the movies first.
Right. And I really like her writing. That's my. And everyone has their own style of writing that they like to read. I really like it. I'm finding myself, if I sit down to read a page, I've read 10 because I really like the way that she writes.
Sure.
So that's making it easy. And the problem with the movies, it was the other way around. I watched the first movie and it feels kiddish. I'm sorry if it does, but it does.
Well,
it feels like a kid movie.
Is supposed to be.
And the second
11.
one does a little bit too.
Right.
So I got through the first one and was kind of like, okay. And then I got to the middle of the second one and I got what is his name? Lockhart. And I wanted to shoot him repeatedly, and I was like, all right, I can't handle this. I'm like, I'm going to have a heart attack right here. Yep. So I turn it off halfway in the movie, never watched him again. And Carrie's like, you've got to get past Lockhart. Yeah. You can do it. And I was like, okay.
Because the end of that movie justifies his character throughout the entire thing. You're
correct.
Like, oh, wow, he got his comeuppance.
He finally did, exactly. And I'm like, all right, maybe. So once I powered through
of revenge.
Well, I hear there's an 8th book coming out now that you'll be able to read.
Allow me to clarify. Hold on. It is not a book. Are you out there, J.K. Rowling? I am listening to you. It is the book version of the play that she wrote. Harry Potter. It's the script, basically. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Does it come with a spine?
I think it does.
Then it's a book.
Exactly, but it's not a separate book. She wrote it as a play first, and then so she wants to make sure people aren't thinking that it's a brand new. And it's also it's a lot of like him looking back over his life and kind of taking it all in of what exactly all of that meant and how it impacted him. And his youngest son's name is Albus.
Is that what it is? Is it's kind of?
I think his youngest son Albus is getting ready to go to Hogwarts, so it meets right at the end of the very end of the movie.
Right.
With that scene where they're older.
It's like 11 years later.
I think so, and he is finally able to absorb all of the things that happen and the things that impacted his life. And then his son is dealing with the responsibility of being the youngest son of Harry Potter, and his youngest son's name is what? Albus Severus. Mm-hmm. Dumbledore Potter, or some terrible name that he's not, he struggles with living up to it. It's, two of the greatest wizards that ever lived, really. If you, spoiler, sorry, Snape is actually not really the bad guy. Sorry. Anyway, spoiler.
Obviously,
it's been years. I think we're past spoilers.
That was the other Force Awakens spoiler I was always telling people. By the way, Snape killed Dumbledore.
Right.
You didn't know that.
Newsflash.
Spoiler.
My spoilers
seen
were
that.
lightsabers and blasters.
Wookiees.
Droids for sure.
Droids for days, everybody.
All right, sorry, Prime, you have a green card. Do we want to actually do this green card?
I'm legal. I have a green card.
Let's do it. Wow.
So my green card is abrasive.
Oh, well.
Which you couldn't see. I immediately pulled one out after like 2 seconds and almost slammed it in front of Prime.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like anyone here really wasted a whole lot of time with that.
No.
So.
Sorry, continue. I just wanted to keep our game going.
Oh, you're good.
I wanna,
Did someone else get the Dick Cheney card?
Right. Can we pull from the old pocket?
We'll let Josh do his, and then I've got our next kind of roundtable
discussion
question.
topic.
I feel like you could use the card Your Ex for just about anything.
Yes,
Right?
it really does work for everything. Oh.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay.
Abrasive.
He's from Texas. He's Texan.
His face or like his personality?
It didn't clarify.
He does kind of look like a scrubbing pad.
got a great
That's
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Okay.
Yes.
Quite abrasive.
Yes.
Wrecking Balls. For some reason, I got the Miley Cyrus in my head.
She's abrasive too.
Oddly enough.
And a bucket of coal. That can be abrasive. I mean, it's coal.
Yeah.
Coal can be abrasive.
It can be used. It can. I think you can grind it up and use it as a cleaning agent. I think.
Literally a box of rocks.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. You're absolutely right. Right. You've got some choices there.
I'm going to go with the figurative abrasiveness with Ebenezer Scrooge.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Joshy.
Josh.
Yes.
So, my kind of roundtable question topic, talking about movies and series, what is your favorite series
Series.
for movies? Yeah.
Okay.
For movies.
For movies.
Yeah, a movie series. What is your favorite?
Okay.
It's a tough. What are the qualifying criteria? Is there a minimum number of? Are we saying
Well,
trilogy plus?
they have to be your
I would say
favorite.
trilogy plus. Let's do NS.
That's a pre-write.
Sure, right. Yeah,
Which means the Amazing Spider-Man is out.
Right.
I only got two.
Right.
That's a
It's a tough one.
Yeah, 3 or more.
I've got one.
You got one? Go ahead.
Mad Max.
Yeah. there are 3 of them now. Yeah. So,
Wow.
There's actually 4.
Oh yeah, yes, there's 4. Yes, the original trilogy and the 4th. Yeah. So.
Well, see, here's okay.
It's okay to repeat, honey.
Well, see, and I don't want to be that person. So because,
But is it
honestly,
your favorite?
yes.
Okay.
I would sit and I would watch 12 hours worth of The Lord of the Rings. I
12?
did sit and watch
There's
12 to 13
90
hours.
plus hours of extras.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
well,
got-
If
just
you
got-
don't watch all those, then you're not.
Well, just the movie, because we're just
Sure,
the movie.
yeah.
The movies are whatever it is, about 4 hours long.
Right.
So The
Oh,
Lord
yeah.
of the Rings. But but I do have a second favorite,
Sure.
which because we've already got Lord of the. I mean, it's come on,
Right.
we're in geekdom. There's everything's Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, it is. J.R. Tolkien was a genius. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. My second one, and I know it's going to look like really, and you're really that old fashioned. I actually Star Trek, the original series.
Absolutely.
The movie
Or
series.
the
You
movie
just
series.
stole Josh's.
Yeah.
That's what
Sorry.
That's what that.
That's
hand
why I
in the
love
air
him
was.
because
And
we like
he's
those
not
together.
switching to Enterprise. Gosh darn it.
Thank you. Right. But I'm getting to the end of Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, and I kind of want to. I do a little sniff when they sign their names on the
Absolutely.
reel, and I'm just like, don't go.
That's
Anyway.
how people back when people knew how to end
Yes.
end a series.
And
They
it
actually
ended it
put
with
an
class. It
endpoint
ended it
on
with a lot of grace. I just was.
Nowadays, people are so focused on trying to make money that they just drag out things.
Yes,
way too
painfully long.
The interesting point on that. Number one, yes, I was going to say the Star Trek movies, and I'm actually going to include the Next Generation movies as well. That entire set.
Oh yeah.
Even Nemesis.
Yes.
You know what?
Really?
Even though
if you include the original Star Wars movie, you can include Nemesis. That's all I have to say because those were both horrible.
1, 2, and you're including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in Star Wars. Yeah.
So that's for me. It's the entire. But I will make a note about The Hobbit because you made the comment about dragging that out, and whatever anybody's opinion on Steven Jackson was, I sat at the end of that third Hobbit movie when that song that what in the world? Which Hobbit was it?
The first one was More Anvil song. I can't remember
No,
Mist
you're
You're talking about
Mountain.
Dominic Monaghan.
Yes, the song, his ending song. I
Perry,
lost
is it
it.
Perry or Pip? He's one of the P's.
Yes, it's one of the twins.
No, it's Peregrine. It's Pippin. He's sang in the third Lord of the Rings movie.
When his song came through at the end of the third movie, I was just bawling.
Of The Hobbit?
Yes.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with,
ending
I enjoyed
credits.
the movie.
Yeah.
But those ending credits hit, and it was like, wow,
it's
I just finished a journey.
It's like reliving the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like when you see Frodo walking away and they're all crying, you're just like,
I know I want to watch
why?
Exactly, because it was very much the idea that this is it. Lord of the Rings is done for now.
Right.
They've done everything they can do with it for now.
I think it's called Edge of Night, Pippin's song.
Yeah, that's it.
From the Battle of the Five Armies, as performed and written by Billy Boyd.
Billy Boyd, that's who.
Billy Boyd.
There it is. That's it.
It's going to be the same
Dominic
way.
is Merriweather.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Never
Gotcha.
mind. I'm not going to say any more series because I don't want to say something that someone else is going to say.
Right?
Okay. Yeah,
so,
exactly. All right.
So you've got Josh,
Star Trek, but I commented on The Hobbit.
Right. Including the Next Generation series.
Yes.
Which I agree with all three of you that the three series that you've named
It was called The Last Goodbye.
Sure.
That
What
one.
is it? Yeah.
Anyway.
Get some chills. Okay.
And see, this is really hard for me because I am, as we've discussed in previous episodes, such a
Perceiver.
Perceiver.
You see all the possibilities.
I would have to say,
true.
I think I have to take it back to the original movie series that I saw that I fell in love with for the entirety of the series. And that is definitely Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Star Wars, I was born in 84, so Return of the Jedi had just come out the year before.
Right.
And my parents raised me right, and I watched the original Star Wars movie on VHS. I actually saw the original Star Wars movie when they re-released it in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Before they added a lot of the CG stuff, when it was literally just the cleaned up version of
Before
the original.
it was the remastered.
Yeah.
Right.
I watched
Special edition.
the special edition.
Because it was remastered and then it went to special edition.
And
I don't know.
What I love, and really what I love about this newest movie is that, and I'm going to narrow it down, whereas Josh kind of opened it up. I'm going to narrow it down to the original three Star Wars movies.
Talk my language,
because
John.
I enjoyed episodes 1, 2, and 3, but nothing captivated me in the story with the characters more than that original Star Wars series. I mean, every character was a little bit different and a little gritty, but still like human.
They all mattered. Even R2-D2 with his beeps mattered so much.
Even in the end,
so much about that.
Even in the end, when you see the struggle for Vader between being Vader and being Anakin. Especially as a father now, being able to go back and watch that and really humanize that emotional struggle, you're like, there's no way somebody who is as compassionate for his children to turn to the dark side because he wanted to keep his, which is what I like about the episode 1 through 3 is how they kind of how they humanize that relationship between Padme and Anakin.
Right.
If he has that much fierce emotion for her, there's no way he doesn't have that same fierce emotion for his children.
Right.
But I don't think that at the time in which he had kind of fallen to the dark side, that either one of those kids would have either A, lived, or B, been in any way, shape, or form good Jedi.
Who they turned out to be.
Right, but at the point in which Luke finally confronts Anakin, and he has to make that choice of go full-on dark side with the Emperor or come back to where you began your journey. And it's just like, wow. Wow. That is just moving.
Yeah.
And what I love about where they've gone with the new movie is, regardless what your opinion is of whether it's a remake of A New Hope or whether it's a New Hope theme with some new stuff mixed in, it's a good movie. It's a great starting point for a brand new set of characters and a brand new series with new bad guys. And I'm sorry, Poe Dameron is the most BA X-Wing fighter pilot I have ever seen, and Ray is pretty much right up there with him when it comes to piloting the Falcon. So
I just like that their names are simple.
Right,
Finn,
yeah.
Ray, and Poe.
That's
There you
right,
go.
Finn, Ray, Poe.
Yeah, they went with a simple.
Han, Leia, Luke.
See, exactly. They
Chewie. You don't even have to.
They went with the theme that
3PO.
works.
Yes.
How do you? Okay, so my question on a sidebar is C-3PO. You can't just say the C in the beginning. You just gotta have 3PO every time. It's like it's one letter. Like,
Yes.
Such a hard consonant to C.
3PO. 3PO. Yeah, I know. No.
R2.
Your mouth's
3PO.
got to go a whole different direction with the C.
C3. No.
At least with
harsh.
R2D2, you're taking off half of its name.
That's true.
Is it R2?
You're eliminating.
It is R2.
Plus, I think Mike Tyson had something to do with that because he didn't like to stutter. He didn't want to C3PO. C. Where's C3PO? Do you see C3PO? It's fine. So he had something to do with that. So.
Goodness gracious.
All right,
Tony,
so-
where you at?
Yeah.
I bounced back and forth. Nobody stole mine, which is good. So, but I bounced back and forth. I was going to go really independent, but I've got to go with the classic, something I grew up with, something that really I could still pop in and watch this day and enjoy it just as much today as I did the first time I saw it, and that's the Back to the Future trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Just
no one
a,
mentioned
just a
Batman either.
classic. Yes, thank you.
In fact,
I
we had to
mean,
watch it when we went on a date night. We were at a date night. We're supposed to be all romantic and stuff, and he turns on Back to the Future too. And I was like, okay, I'm good now. We can just sit and watch
Oh,
this.
my gosh.
It's
And we
romantic.
did.
They're in the
It's
future.
good.
They're married. You know,
Yeah.
he's setting the stage for you. So,
Yeah. I think what I love about that series, and that's an 80s series that I just fell in love with and grew up with. What I love about that series is every movie is new,
yeah.
but they have the principal characters or actors that play
Right.
those characters. And so it's like you're not ever really leaving anything behind. Like
Yes.
it's just kind of an extension of the first story.
Yeah.
Well, and if there's any movie, it was one of the first movies that I ever saw, especially between 2 and 3, because they did the whole filming them one right after. It was the first time we'd experienced
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And I was so glad to see Lord of the Rings do that, and I wish more movies would do that. Which is why I'm excited about Avengers Infinity War. I know they're doing part 1 and part 2,
Right.
but they're filming it all at once.
Right, the
Right.
intentional sequel.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big, it's a big thing for me. I love knowing that because it was literally like, all right, we are going to pick up almost like a TV series right where we left off.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Well, that's at the end of part 2. As the action concludes, you get on the screen to be concluded, and then they immediately showed a preview for the third movie,
next one, yeah.
and it's just like
Where he's being chased by Indians.
Yeah, it's just a mind-blowing experience because it was completely different what you're seeing. This Old West thing at that time, you're like, what are they doing? How are they getting there? So it's a very, very cool movie. Very much a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Had a great time enjoying the 30th anniversary this past September and
Yeah.
everything. So just very cool to see them, and a great cast. With Marty,
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Just good stuff all around.
Yeah, and I think for me, since I was born in the 80s as well, it was the first time that I had experienced a movie that involved time travel. So in general,
Right.
that was just an area, a
Flux
topic that
capacitor.
nobody really messed around with at that point in time. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think some honorable mentions are definitely like the Indiana Jones series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I would like to give, for whatever you think, the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's fun.
I really liked
That's a
Pirates.
fun
I'm a
one.
I
huge
feel like
Johnny
it got
Depp
kind of
fan.
weird towards the end, but
I liked at the end of 3 when she became the Pirate King. And
So on Stranger Tides, I believe is the fourth one.
Yes.
correct.
Awesome movie, and it like again, kind of a breath of fresh air because it's pretty much literally just Johnny Depp in that movie and
Right.
Barbosa.
I did like the fourth one.
So that was kind of neat. And I know that they're going back to do now a fifth movie, and it has Orlando Bloom in it.
does.
So he's going
Oh.
to get wet again.
Legolas is coming back. Okay, I'm teasing.
And Blackbeard. That's
Oh, is
from
he
what I
coming back?
understand. That is the big.
Oh,
he's the
that's
big
cool.
villain in the next
Nice.
one.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
because he
love.
hasn't been in any of all the.
Wasn't he in on Stranger Tides?
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
He died
was-
at the
yeah.
end
Did
of
that
that
right.
movie.
That's right.
Hey, you're never really dead in Pirates. It's,
Oh, that's
it's
true.
a lot like
That's
X
true. No, that's
Files.
true. If there's anything that you've learned
I
about
must
that,
have-
you
He's
never
still one
really
gold coin.
and you are not
screwed
dead.
for life.
But I just yeah.
I really think that like being into horror movies, the
Yeah.
Alien series,
Absolutely.
it's such a good. The third was, but
Well,
Ripley's still the toughest chick ever.
Oh yeah, she's a BA, and it's cool that they can take that series and not only extend it into Prometheus and what's going on now, but back in the day, they had the Aliens movies, and then you had the Predator movies, and then they crossed over. Like, you rarely in the movie environment do you see the crossover. That's why I'm excited for Batman vs Superman too, just because I know that's the same company, but this is like two completely different properties,
right,
mashing up in the Alien versus Predator, and just have some fun with it. Just have some fun sometimes with the movie.
I put out there, it's not there yet. The third one is getting ready to come out, but we're not at 3 yet, which is the reboot of the X-Men series. Mm-hmm. I really like the first 2, so I can't actually put it out there because it doesn't have 3. First Class, and then Days of Future Past. Yeah. I really like the reboot. I wasn't sure what I would think with the new people, but then Days of Future Past, I love how it was kind of a handoff. I think that's really a beautiful thing when the people who started it, it's like they're handing it off and said, we want you to keep continuing the story. Mm-hmm. And I think the new actors and actresses are really trying to do it justice. Like, I really feel like they care about giving it what it deserves, which, I mean, the story of X-Men is an amazing story. Charles Xavier is a remarkable comic book, movie, all of those characters. So
I just fact-checked myself on Pirates. It's actually going to be Javier Bardem playing Captain Salazar. Salazar will be the main bad guy. So
we're American. We can mispronounce.
Mispronounce foreign words.
Yeah.
Well, and Javier Bardem, I believe, is actually the husband of the female character in Stranger's Tide. I'm totally forgetting her name right
Penelope
now.
Cruz?
Yes, I can be wrong on that, but
I've been a fan of Penelope Cruz since the 90s.
She's in Zoolander too. She's doing okay.
She aged like a fine wine.
She's doing all right.
I'm sorry, Wolverine. Hugh Jackman.
There you go.
I actually like Hugh Jackman more now than now I liked him in X-Men the original. I like him even better now. Like I said, I don't know why. I know I maybe have a thing for older guys.
I've heard the workout routine that he's had to have for those movies.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I keep holding out the slim hope that because he and Ryan Reynolds went back and forth before Deadpool was released. I keep holding out the slim hope that I know he said no more Wolverine, but maybe just a little bit.
Maybe a little bit
just
more.
A little bit more.
Look, they greenlit the sequel, and I know that Ryan is trying really hard to get him in. So
how much money would it take?
Can we push Wolverine 3 1 year just so you can be in the movie?
Yes. And it's so hard to talk about the first Daredevil movie without getting into too much of it. But I would love, because they talked about the second Deadpool. They've talked about wanting to put Cable and X-Force in there too. So they've got the X-Men crossover.
Awesome.
Yes.
And we already have X-Men in Deadpool. Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead are there. So.
Correct. So it would make sense if they would keep. I love the crossover idea. I think it's wonderful. Well, I love the whole Marvel universe. I was going to say Marvel, but then I'm like, I'm not really sure if that's a series or what that is, because they're all individual, but they all link together. So
Marvel is a universe.
It's okay. So the Marvel universe, I'm also a fan of, because I love how those all link together.
Just like WWE has a universe where you have cross-branded wrestlers. I mean, really, you have cross-branded wrestlers that come from little pockets here and there, and then they all do one big thing together, and then they kind of disperse. Like it's that. Well, then they have the TV series that goes along with it as well. So they've got different. And they got movie universe, but the TV universe is part of it as well, and that's a neat concept, which is very different. Than DC.
Yes.
Perfect continuing conversation topic. Let's get
a green card.
Okay. Where's your green card, Deb?
I'm legal too. I've got my green card.
I'm
pretty sure we're gonna play like one full round.
I literally just thought about that. It's like, let's do one round, and then we'll move on to part 2.
Where works.
Well, mine is unfortunately rather dreary. Is my green one, which means bleak, gloomy, somber.
Oh my!
So give me something dreary, gentlemen. And no, Miley Cyrus. That might count as dreary. That
I'm going to grab the Urex card again. So.
What is that?
Dreary. All right. Gosh, this is a tough one. We're going to go with that one.
Okay.
For lack of options. You always pull the perfect one after you give it away.
Always. Every time.
It works in both Cards Against Humanity and Apples to Apples. So, all right. Dreary. We have the Cliffs of Dover.
Oh my.
The White Cliffs on the coast of Britain. Or the catchy guitar anthem by Eric Johnson.
There you
go. We also have A Broken Collarbone. Oh gosh. Skis plus speed plus tree. You do the math.
That's right. Equals Sonny Bono.
Too soon.
The apocalypse is dreary.
Speaking of X-Men.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, look at that.
Is a lot of things.
And, gym lockers.
Ew, that's frightening.
One word, Lysol. Okay,
or fire.
I'm going to have to go with, that's a tough one. I think the dreariest thing on here would have to be the apocalypse.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that.
I'll take a broken collarbone over the apocalypse, personally.
I don't think the cliffs sit over that dreary. I actually think they're rather pretty, so that's just me, but to each their own.
Shared universe, because I have had quite a few conversations at work about this, and I need to start getting
you guys
this
talk
out.
about this at work?
Here, huh?
Well, now
he works with a bunch of computer
it's
geeks.
true. And we have, Mr. Pop Cultish going on here, so...
Yeah.
We were just discussing how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is shared with its television counterparts. And then the X-Men Cinematic Universe is probably not going to be completely shared because Deadpool is in the current time frame, whereas the X-Men is in the 80s right now.
That was the big nerdy takeaway. A quick sidebar on this is that, as I was doing my research on Deadpool and getting ready for the review and things like that, is that people say that essentially Deadpool spoils the end of X-Men Apocalypse because, X-Men Apocalypse is that, does Apocalypse destroy the world? Does he kill everybody? Obviously he doesn't because Deadpool's set in the present day and there's still X-Men around and the world's still going on, the world's still spinning. So, so that was the thing because Apocalypse is set in the 80s.
Correct.
So.
If it was any other movie but Deadpool, that would make sense.
Right, but Deadpool is also a fourth wall breaker and knows that he's a character, so how much can you really take his movie as quote-unquote canon?
Exactly. So,
well, and the other thing is when it comes to the Apocalypse series, and I know that we don't talk about canon a lot, but in general, that storyline is supposed to be set in the far future.
Right, it's a very alternate universe for the X-Men.
Sure,
correct.
So you take the shared universes, which I think even X-Men have talked. There's been talks of a possible Fox show.
With Legion is coming out this year on FX. Yes.
So you do all of that, and then step back and look at what DC's doing because you have, of course, you had Man of Steel, and then Batman versus Superman, which will ultimately be transitioning into Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Justice League. Not the League of Justice.
Are they a league? Do they stand for justice?
I think the League of Justice.
Am I a Marvel fan? Yes.
Do they care about the League of
Justice?
Just sounds better than Justice
The
League.
League of Justice.
the League which does justice.
Yes. Yeah. There's a little more.
So that's the movie series, and then you've got what people are so lovingly referring to as the Arrowverse with. Arrow, Flash, Justice. And that's where things are getting interesting because when you
starts to get muddled,
do the Legends of Tomorrow, which is actually a part of all three, and those are there's timeline jumping or whatever. They did the episode with slight spoiler with the Flash where he's going from Earth 1 to Earth 2, and en route he sees Supergirl, which leads people to believe that she's in a different multiverse. So you're looking at shared universes versus the multiverse, and I gotta know what do you think?
I thought the DC was adamant about not doing crossovers.
They're not crossing over with the movies officially, but if they're introducing the multiverse, that means the movies can exist in one multiverse, and the television shows can introduce in another multiverse.
They're using it to link them without linking them. They see the financial advantage that Marvel has by having all these together, and Marvel has got a juggernaut with it.
Yeah.
They want to do something similar, but they don't want to look like they're doing it just like Marvel did it.
I haven't done enough
so they're doing it
to
this
keep
way.
up with that.
It seems like they're working really hard to give themselves out in case they want to do something or in case they don't want to do something.
Correct.
So whereas Marvel kind of said this is
what we're going to do.
That's my take on it. Anyways, is Marvel has committed in saying this is what we're doing. It's all together. Like it or leave it. Some of it may work. Some of it may not work for you. Whereas DC saying we'll see what you tell us, and then we'll do.
They're
what
a little
you
dodgy
want.
with
They're
it.
a little
comparatively, DC's done more. Well, I'm not going to say more, but more recently they've done flops. A lot more flops than Marvel has.
Talking about movies or TVs?
From a movie standpoint, yeah.
TV, I would say no. TV,
I would.
Flash is interesting. Like I don't even try to get interested in Flash, and I get pulled in. I'm like,
to guess that Arrow and Flash and Supergirl are probably doing better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
They are doing better than Agent Carter, but not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, really? I was going to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s pretty solid right now.
Carter's getting canceled?
Possibly.
Okay.
Well, because Haley Atwell got signed to a new show.
Yeah.
She's starring in a new show. So
I actually think I read that on Nerdbusters.
I believe that.
I can totally believe that.
But,
I would too.
Which, by the way, Tony is also an editor
That's
for
right.
Nerdbusters.
I didn't mention that. I'm managing editor of NerdBastards.com.
I think the biggest thing for DC is they need to find something that sets them apart from Marvel,
Yes.
and that attracts people to want to watch their movies.
They have Batman and Superman.
Right, but they can't just live
Other
off
than
of
the
Batman
characters.
and Superman.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I don't know.
Batman,
The problem
yeah,
is,
as far as the fan base
the
is
problem is
concerned.
there are certain, and I'm kind of glad that we have gone down this rabbit hole, because this was actually something that I was going to entertain as far as a topic is concerned. Is there have been this recently? There's been this really strong push to just, because it is so in right now, to take comic book characters and stuff like that and really force them into what would be considered the pop culture genre. And some of them have done exceedingly well, and some of them are just trying way too hard.
Yeah.
I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man movies were all right, but in my opinion, I'm sorry, Josh. Not better than Tobey Maguire's trilogy.
Oh God, no!
Even given the third movie.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire was Peter Parker.
Yeah, but then you have these really weird phenomenons where they make two Fantastic Four movies that don't do so well, and then they make another Fantastic Four movie that does even worse.
Yeah.
And in the same light, in the same year as a Mad Max movie that does phenomenal, Star Wars movie that does ridiculous amounts of money,
Broke records.
Recently passing $2 billion.
really.
Did they pass Avatar?
Definitely
Not
broke
yet.
records.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Well, it's coming.
But-
It hasn't passed Avatar, but it's coming close. I think.
But
No, I think
on worldwide,
Yeah.
Worldwide, yeah.
'Cause
No,
I know
worldwide,
it just
okay.
went over 900 mil
Domestically.
domestic,
Which
So-
means it's still not close to Avatar domestic.
Right.
They're that. I mean, Avatar is like 1.3 billion
Is it?
domestic. Yeah.
I thought they'd. Okay, I thought.
Yeah.
I guess
I didn't really want to see it as it was nice the first time, but there's only so many times you can watch Pocahontas before you're a little done.
or Ferngully.
Or Ferngully met Pocahontas.
Fern Gully meets Pocahontas.
Yeah.
It's Ferngully and Pocahontas' love child.
Right. Without Robin Williams,
In
unfortunately.
space.
Space. So, but yeah, I mean, like, how do you guys feel about? We can do the green card and then just kind of address, like, how do we feel about kind of this? What feels like kind of a forcing of, hey, you have to like these characters because we're producing movies of them, versus things like Deadpool, which are the fans want us to make this
Right.
movie. Get on board.
Yeah,
So-
because when they originally came out with that, it was just a test to see if anybody was even interested.
Yeah, he was actually asked about that, and Ryan himself was like, "I'm 70% sure it wasn't me, but it was him and 3 other guys that produced the test footage for Fox."
Yeah.
And he's like,
somebody leaked it.
Air quotes, somebody.
Somebody leaked it.
Deadpool himself leaked it.
That's absolutely believable.
the next green card to finish out this round, so we can finish up part 1, is efficient. Efficient, capable, effective, and organized. Donald is already on it, and so is Deb.
Efficient.
Fantastic. So, all right, here comes Prime. Coming around the bend to finish it out with Mr. Schaub. Or Tony, because I don't know if his dad prefers Mr. Schaub.
Tony is fine. Usually I only get a Mr. or my full name if I'm receiving a major award or if I'm in trouble.
Okay,
So,
got it.
neither of those today.
We don't have
so
that
it's
good
fine.
awards here, so
I don't have an award, and I'm not the IRS. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Options are for efficient meat grinders.
That's pretty efficient.
They chew your food before you do.
see, that's
nice.
efficient.
Good job done.
The X-Men.
Oh,
Topical.
A team of mutants who use their superpowers to sell a lot of comic books and movie tickets.
Good powers.
true.
It is.
A Venus flytrap. Feed me, Seymour. From Little Shop of Horrors. And finally, for efficient, Ronald Reagan, 1911 to 2004, Screen Actors Guild president who became the 40th president of the United States.
Well, I guess he was efficient. He was an actor first, and then he decided, let's just do the presidency thing.
It's true. Just going through these, though, it's you got 3 of them that are trying to make some sort of comic, and then Ronald Reagan is just like to the point. It's the card, let alone Ronald Reagan himself being efficient. The card itself is efficient, so I'm going to say Ronald Reagan.
Yay, Ronald Reagan.
I can't believe you chose Ronald Reagan over the X-Men.
I mean, meat grinders.
Really?
Come on.
You think the X-Men are more efficient than Ronald Reagan?
Yeah, because the X-Men save worlds.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Ronald Reagan did in the middle of the Cold
Ronald Reagan
War.
saves tax brackets?
There you go.
The economy?
Save money.
Anywho, so what was your question again, Donald?
Whatever.
How do you feel about the idea of kind of these iconic characters that we've grown up with, really just kind of with remakes and reboots? Like the other day, I just saw that I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but they are considering a reboot of Battlestar again, and I'm like, they already rebooted Battlestar.
Yeah, I heard about that too. I'm like, why do you reboot a reboot?
Right, like how do you reboot a reboot?
The new one is supposedly going to focus on the original series as it stood back in the 70s,
right?
Not the vastly different one, the vastly excellent one.
Yes,
exactly.
Right.
So my question is kind of, as a geek, as somebody who really loves a lot of, whether it be comic books or movies or just getting into these things, what is your opinion on the quote-unquote industry really pushing hard to make films that they know are going to make money, but not necessarily regard the fan?
I think Hollywood's running out of ideas. I think we've mentioned that in the past, that especially when it comes to repeating stories that have already been retold. I don't know how many times we've heard the Bambi or Pocahontas story, as you mentioned. But on the same note, there are also, it's like 15 different story tropes that every story is developed from.
Sure.
So I understand that element comes into play, but when it comes to characters, we've already known, and loved. The reason why Hollywood does it, yes, is for money, but it's also to introduce the current generation of people to these characters and in a way that was different than the way your parents were introduced to them. That's a big reason why episode 1 through 3 of Star Wars was released. It was, we want to introduce Star Wars to this generation of kids, which is what Lucas ultimately wanted to do in the first place, which was make this a story for kids as well. So, like them or hate them, that was the purpose for that release. I can't speak for everything, but
I think fans are very savvy to what's forced on them versus something that they are interested in legitimately seeing.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you've got, just like you said, Josh, that everything old is new again. Retro comes back around. But there is definitely, you can feel the difference between a Star Wars or a Star Trek where you get to a new generation versus a Spider-Man that's rebooted 7 years after it's first rebooted.
Thank you.
Or a Fantastic Four that's rebooted 4 years after it's rebooted.
Right.
That smacks of, I know for a fact that the reason that Fantastic Four was done was because Fox's contract with Marvel states that if they don't make a movie every 7 years, they lose the rights. So 6 years or 5.5 years after Rise of the Silver Surfer, they're sitting there saying, we got to get on this, otherwise we're going to lose them. So they make a crappy movie because they rush it into production and it's terrible and they don't think about it and it's dumb.
Right.
I think fans can pick up on that and they can see something like that as opposed to a Marvel Cinematic Universe where they're like, hey, here's the big names, the Iron Man, the Captain America. Here's a movie about Ant-Man. Maybe you'll like it. Hey, we did, because you stopped and thought about it. You didn't say, we've got to make a movie about Ant-Man and it's got to be done by June 2015 or else.
Right.
It's, let's do this the right way and have some fun with it. And I think that's what fans really resonate with.
I think as far as Hollywood producers are concerned, too, I think they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. They know what fans have liked in the past. Like, for instance, DC. How many Superman movies have come out? How many Batman movies have come out?
Good Lord. Yes.
And now they come up with another Superman and another Batman versus Superman,
But,
and now they're thinking about they're gearing up for a Justice League. So
Right.
I mean, it's
League
like
of Justice.
Yeah, the League of Extraordinary Justice. And,
very justicing league.
and so it's like
sacrifice bacon
lawful
justice.
citizens with superpowers.
Yes. Yeah. Lawful good meets superpowers.
That's the Watchmen.
Oh, no.
No.
Don't forget to throw the word extreme on there for 90s. Extreme.
Ultra.
Wait. Of Doom.
I mean, basically, it's because it's Hollywood's money driven in general. You know what I mean? So they want to produce something that they know they're going to make money on, and that's how I feel about it. So Deb, go ahead.
So I was going to come about. I find it interesting that seems like there are certain, and you guys can yell at me if you disagree. That's what we're here for. Companies that seem like they understand that if you listen to the fans and if they will tell you what they want, like if you're paying enough attention to social media or to Facebook or to YouTube they will tell you what they want and what they think is cool and what they don't. And I use an example, and I'm sorry, you guys will beat me over the head. Disney owns Marvel, and Disney has known how to tell a good story for about 70 years now.
Yeah.
And Disney now owns Star Wars. They did 7. They didn't do 1, 2, 3. They did 7. And yet I find it very interesting that somehow they've got the writers, they've got the people, the actors that are making a product that people say yes. It doesn't feel like it's force-fed down our throat. It feels like they're trying to tell us a fun, good story, sometimes a darker story. Some of them, Winter Soldier, there were some big thoughts in that movie if you really thought about it. I mean, there were some big struggles in that movie. I loved Winter Soldier. I absolutely thought it was wonderful, even though it wasn't all campy hearts flowers, but it was good. And so I think it's interesting. There are some that feels like, well, we're going to put the movie out because it'll make us money, and people liked it in the past, so maybe it'll work again. And then it seems like there's some that are a little more thoughtful and a little more like, let's watch, and what are the fans actually acting like they want. Yeah. Let them tell us what kind of story they want us to put out next. And I know it's not 100%, but those are the ones that I tend to drift toward. Like, okay, I sat down at the beginning of Star Wars Episode 7, had my popcorn here. I leaned over to my husband and I said, all right, Disney, impress me. Because 1, 2, and 3 did not impress me. And so I'm like, all right, if you're going to get me back into Star Wars, let's do this. And they did it. They told a good story.
And I think that as far as those, both Star Wars and Marvel are concerned, they're progressive storylines.
Yes.
Every movie that's come out with in regards to Star Wars is a continual storyline. You know,
we're still walking.
They're not trying to rehash the original story.
Exactly. They're not telling me Luke, Leia, and Han again. They haven't gotten some random guy playing Han Solo again. They are continuing, and they've allowed Han to progress. And everyone is progressing, and I like that. Don't tell me a story I've already heard. I know the end of this.
The only counter argument I can give to that, and this is just me playing devil's advocate,
absolutely,
is that these are characters that obviously, like you said, progress with purpose. On the flip side, if you take a character from another medium, like a comic book, Batman and Superman have been around since the 50s, around for 60, 70 years.
Correct.
But they're not 60, 70 years older than they were when they first started in comics either.
That's right.
So it's one of those things where, how do you keep them fresh? You know, comic books do the same thing by just saying, oh yeah, Bruce, you know, he was in his 40s when he started, and here we are 70 years later, still in his 40s mostly, you know. So it's
maybe we're in an alternate universe at this point.
Right.
Maybe
how old's Bart Simpson?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Simpsons verse.
True.
Same thing with that. But yeah, the Simpsons don't try to reboot themselves. They're very tongue-in-cheek, you know, yes, how many times have I been in the 4th grade type of thing? So,
I was going to say, or Maggie should be probably 13 at this point, and she's still working on that little pacifier.
I just had this discussion with my brother the other day.
I was about to mention
we were not to go off on a whole, because I know we need to wrap things up, but it is funny to me how even in the television format, there are so many reboots that start telling a brand new story with the same characters. For example, and I'm a big fan of Pokemon. I have been for 20 years since it came over here to the U.S. And I looked at Pokemon XY just hit Netflix. My boys love watching Pokemon, so we started watching it. And I said, you know, it's interesting to me that Pokemon is 20 years old, and they still have the same main character, has not aged a day. And I'm like, to me, the more... And of course, they're catering it towards children. But to me, the more interesting story is what happens after, because Ash Ketchum starts his journey when he's like 13, 20 years ago. Well, what happens when Ash Ketchum has a child and he's 33 years old, and now his son or his daughter or his nephew is 13, and it's time for him to go out and start adventuring? To me, that's the more interesting story. It's the legacy of being a Pokemaster or whatever. It's the legacy of those characters that you're passing on. And to me, the more interesting story for Batman is the Red Hood, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, the if you will, in a technical term, the peripheral characters, the characters that don't get the limelight. Tell me a story of Lex Luthor and why he is the way he... Not a campy... and I know that they're reintroducing Lex Luthor in this new movie, which I'm actually really excited about because I want to see the new Luthor.
A new take on him.
Origin stories work really well in comics. Like I know that's one of the best Batman comics I've ever read was The Killing Joke, where they did the origin of the Joker.
Yes.
Amazing. But would something like that, again, would that translate to the big screen? They are very different mediums.
I mean, that's kind of what they've done with Gotham, though, and that's kind of what they...
I like Gotham.
And Gotham kills.
I like
no pun intended.
Oh, it does. In many ways.
That people love that show.
But Jim Gordon, not Batman, Jim Gordon, who is a key element in Batman, but why is Jim Gordon the way he is? Why is he this tough? Why does he think...
him?
Yeah,
I think we have our first topic for Pop Cultish.
There we go.
Origins.
There we go.
Origins? All right, we're going to pand off, I guess.
Close up.
I'm going to. So, to kind of wrap things up, I hope that you guys had fun hanging out with us while we played some Apples to Apples and just kind of had some open table discussions. On episode 114 of the Established Facts, which was our Rationals episode, if you have not gotten a chance to listen to our Myers-Briggs episodes, go back. I believe they started at episode 110, 111, something like that. Check them out. They were a lot of fun. I hope you guys appreciate them. And if you have any questions or if any comments, please leave them on our Facebook page. Episode 114, fact. Rhaegar is special. Alan is a mechanic. Derek is a hermit. Carrie is a nurturer. Deb is focused. Don is a storyteller. And Josh is in a white shirt. For episode 115, thank you for hanging with us. This has been the episode 115 of the Established Facts of Doom.
Extreme.
Of Justice.
Ultra.
That's it. Go home.
Sorry, you did all the ones I would normally do. So that's good.
Thank you again for listening to episode 115, and we will check you later.
Bye.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus